Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about limited licenses. I've actually covered this topic many moons ago. I was very young. I actually just watched that video and I was like, I do not look like that anymore. But we're going to be talking about limited licenses. We're just going to update everything, make sure we're up to date because that one was almost 6 years ago now. I received a comment under that video is like, it's 2025. Is it still valid? Is it still everything is the same? And it is. I want to say that it's mostly valid. Mostly all the information that I shared there, I still stand by. But I did meet a lot more people after that time, and I actually learned a lot more. So I kind of want to share the stories of people who have received limited licenses, who I've met, who had limited licenses before, and just kind of update the information. We're going to go to some websites and show what they look like, so you know where to look for the information if you need more, and all that good stuff. So just going to want to make the same video, go watch that one, and then watch this one, so we're kind of all on the same page and up to date for 2025. Life update before we start. What is happening in my life? We're traveling to, let's say it all together, Switzerland in 3 days. And I'm saying it like this if you're new here, because we traveled 5 times to Switzerland last year and we've already been this year and it's June. And we're going because we're moving there in 2026, and we're all super excited. We were going towards this for a very long time, and we need to register with Mebeco, which is like their licensing board. I'm going to try to register just as with my Russian diploma. It's actually more helpful because it's European standard rather than American diploma, which is not a European standard at all. They're very different requirements there. So my Russian diploma is actually much more useful there. The whole process takes a year, so we need to do it now. And this is the last time I can travel because I'm heavily pregnant at this point. So yeah, I packed 3 days before we actually go on a trip. And if you watch my Instagram or if you know me at all, I hate packing. I'm the worst packer ever, so it's kind of a big deal for me. But that's my life update for now, and let's get into the video. All right, you guys, what's a limited license? Basically, limited license mean that if you are a foreign dentist, you are coming to the United States and you don't have proper credentials that the United States required, some states offer a limited license, which means you can work, you can still practice as a proper dentist, proper doctor, but under a supervision. So somebody has to be in the facility with you. In case something goes wrong, they're kind of checking on you for that. But in practice, what the supervision usually means, it's you're basically working and living your life. You're receiving a lower salary because that's a given. You are a limited licensed doctor. They can pay you less. Another fully licensed doctor is in the vicinity together with you whilst you work. So basically, it doesn't really have any restrictions on your practice. You can do anything, just like any other general dentist, but somebody else has to be in the building, basically. There are time limits for the license. It depends state by state. And with all this information that I'm putting out here, go to individual state boards and read what they say. It's the most important place where you can, it's the horse's mouth. Get all the information directly from the horse's mouth, because anybody who tells you stuff on the internet, anywhere you read, like International Dentist Central, anywhere, any websites are flawed. And the only place where information is precise and exact is the licensing board. I always recommend calling them rather than just reading their website, because even now when I went to the websites of the states that I'm going to talk about today, the websites were not updated. So I'm reading the information that is kind of like supposedly, allegedly is happening right now, but it's not reflected on the board's website. So it doesn't mean that it's not happening actually. So it doesn't mean you can't get a license or something, but they just didn't update their website, which can happen too. So give them a call, make sure you actually communicate with them and talk to them in person. Foreign people usually imagine licensing board as like a major government facilities. At least that's what I used to think as a Russian. We're very official people, we like papers and stuff. But here it's just kind of like a room with 3 people in there, and they just sit there and answer the phone, and you can just talk to a guy. That's my personal experience with licensing. So basically, with all the years that have passed by, I have met people with limited licenses, and most of them are from Massachusetts. Massachusetts is the most prominent state that actually would grant you a limited license. I can confirm that. I know people who have got that in many different cities in the state, in many different capacities, from different backgrounds. I know for a fact that you can get a limited license in Mass. When it comes to other states, and I've listed 6 states in my previous video, which is still valid, I still see that information, but I have never once met anybody who has received a limited license in those states. And we're gonna talk in depth about Massachusetts in a minute, but before that, I wanna talk about Minnesota. because I do hear a lot of people wanting to move to Minnesota just because they have that lucrative limited license law that you can get a limited license and just work under supervision for 5 years and then get a full license. So that sounds amazing, right? As a foreign trained dentist, you don't have to spend all that money to residency or to any other, to basically to getting a degree. You don't have to pay for it. You can just go to Minnesota, practice there for 5 years, on a limited license under supervision, and get a full license. I hear that a lot, and I actually recently have met people who that's their plan, but I have not once met a person who has done that. And please, if you are one, leave me a comment. I would love to bring that information to light and share your story together with you or on my own if you write it to me. I'd love to be proven wrong. Just like in other states that I mentioned in my previous video, but not mentioning now, please, if you had held a limited license in those states before, let me know. I'd love to share that. I talk to a lot of foreign trained dentists on a daily basis, and I have never once heard that. When it comes to Minnesota, they're a little bit difficult. And in my last, I think I've shared that in some of my previous videos I've made a lot, but Minnesota used to have a very complicated process to receive that limited license. You don't not only have to be employed somewhere who will vouch for you that yes, we're going to watch you. You can work in our facility, we will watch you practice, but you also have to present cases of your past experiences. For example, if you're a recent grad and you're a licensed dentist, but a very recent graduate in a foreign country, that is not going to work for you, because if you have to present cases of your work, it has to be well documented, it has to be photographed. You have to sit in front of the committee and actually say that, hey, I practiced in a foreign country, this is my work. And if you haven't had enough of that, they will not grant you a license, even if you are employed and even if you are a foreign dentist. So there's a lot of caveats there, which make the process very difficult. And another thing with them, they had a very complicated website. They had links that went nowhere. It was just absolutely unusable. It looked dead. It looked like there were nobody there. It looked like nobody has ever used it. I did just check, they updated the website, but we're going to go through it together, and I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at it together. Another state that I want to briefly mention is New Hampshire, which is kind of also next to Massachusetts. New Hampshire makes sense because it's very rural. There's not a lot of cities there. It makes sense for them to grant limited licenses. The guy, like, peeps need doctors. We had people who were driving from New Hampshire to Boston to get dental work because they literally don't have anybody around them. So that makes sense. But again, I went to their board and I've read that since 2024, they have been granting limited licenses. That information is on the internet, but I have not been able to confirm it because I went on their website and they do have, I can share it with you. I have opened it on my laptop right now. They share that they do grant temporary licenses, but it doesn't have a single word on their website about limited licenses, which temporary license would be somebody who is licensed in a different state and they're just temporarily living in New Hampshire for some reason. That's completely different. If you're a foreign dentist, you're not licensed anywhere. This is not going to work for us. We need a limited license. And I even searched the word limited license all over the board website and it doesn't come up anywhere. So can't confirm New Hampshire. Did see that information online. Can't tell you if it's true or not. Now we're going to Massachusetts. So my home state of Massachusetts, the wonderful Boston. We love it here. It's a great place to live, and it's actually a great place for dentists to be. So Massachusetts does grant limited licenses. And first, before I go to their website, let me just tell you my experience. I did share it in my previous video, and that was, of course, my first step. I wanted to get that limited license. I did not want to work as an assistant when I first started here. I was like, okay, let's get a limited license. Basically, what you do to get a limited license, what I did, you go to any career websites like Indeed, there are websites like Glassdoor, and we can go look at that up in a minute as well, so I can just kind of show you what that looks like. They're literally listings that said, we will give you limited license. Limited licenses accepted. Great. You apply to those listings, you go through the entire interview process, you go meet them, they like you, you like them, whatever. They tell you, okay, we accept you. Basically, we are going to write a letter to the board. Now you go apply through, complete all the board's requirements. We will do our part. When you guys come together, come to the board, bring all the documents, the board gives you a license and you start working. It's theoretically easy to find a job. On my end, practically, when I actually applied and when I actually called them, I was a new graduate. So I was applying to schools at the time, studying for NBD. I'm that old. Like, NBD was still 2 parts. It hasn't been INBD yet. But I was studying for my exams. I didn't have any residency experience. I didn't have any work experience as a dentist, pretty much at all. So they were like, okay, we usually look for candidates who at least completed residency program in the United States anywhere. It doesn't need to be in Massachusetts for us to grant that license. So my perception, and I still stand by this perception, my perception about limited licenses is it's kind of made for people who have traveled to the United States, weren't able or didn't want to go through the entire general dentistry education. They went to a residency program. For example, in Massachusetts, I have seen a lot of people in my dental school who have worked on a limited license who were like endodontists. They graduated endodontic program in the United States, but in Massachusetts, they're not eligible to practice because Massachusetts does require American diploma, not a residency diploma, American actual general dentistry diploma. And in that case, after they completed the residency, they could apply to limited licenses because they know that those people are like, they vet them, they know that they went to school, they have some kind of education in the United States. Those limited licenses are generally targeted for those kind of people who want to practice in a private-ish practice, but who only have a residency completed, who are specialists basically. And that way they can get a general dentistry license, but they don't have to go to general dentistry school. And it's true, I have met a ton of people who've done that. And limited license kind of goes in hand with faculty license. It's pretty much the same. You just work as a faculty, but you do have to have a residency. You do have to be a resident of some kind. You have to have something more than just a general dentistry education. Oh, it's hard to talk. Really hard to breathe. I'm 6 months pregnant right now, so breathing is an issue right now. So when I talk a lot, I'm like, I need to catch my breath. That is kind of one part of limited, when you would be eligible to receive a limited license, when you would be hired for a limited license. If you completed a residency and you would like to, you don't want to be faculty, you want to work out in the world, you can't move out of Massachusetts, you do want to live in Massachusetts, they will give you a limited license and you can work there as a general dentist. I have met people who have worked as an assistant for a very long time. For example, a story of my assistant who I worked with at my first job after graduation. She was a dentist from Venezuela and her English was really bad. She really struggled with taking TOEFL. She'd taken it multiple times, could not get a good score. And another reason, she had a really low GPA. She had like 2 point something GPA. She graduated 10 plus years ago, a very long time, in like, I think late 90s or early 2000s. She had multiple attempts to apply to dental school, to general dentistry program, to advanced standing, but never once got in. And she worked as a dental assistant for 10 years, but eventually, because of her age, because of her experience, she applied for a limited license and she received it. She was hired. She had extensive dental experience in the United States. She had 10 years of experience as a dental assistant. So that also shows for something. She knows what she's been around, she's older, she knows how to work with patients. She does have a dental degree in a foreign country. So she did receive a limited license and now happily works as a limited license dentist. She's brilliant, absolutely brilliant assistant, brilliant doctor, didn't lose any skills in all these years. And I'm super happy for her. But it's another kind of anecdote story of people who I know who have received their licenses. Of course, you can always know somebody who knows somebody. Did know those people too. I just worked for their friend who worked in a healthcare center. They got a limited license there because they kind of just hired them because they're their friend. Happens too. But basically, the point of this whole story, people get it. It goes case by case and it depends on the need of the area where you look. It depends on you as well. How old are you? What's your experience? If you're a new grad who has never worked before and just after graduation just traveled to the United States and want to find some kind of a job, most likely you will have to go to the assistant route because you will not be able to get a limited license. But if you do have a lot of experience and you can prove it, or if you have completed some kind of education, AGD, even if certificate granting programs, it doesn't necessarily need to be a residency, you can get yourself a limited license. So now let's talk a little bit about the conditions of the limited license, particularly in Massachusetts. In Massachusetts, it has to be a government facility. It has to be a hospital, a prison, a private health center clinic. I have never seen anybody working in prisons, honestly, haven't talked to anybody. It's a bit difficult with hospitals. Usually they don't have dental. I still stand by that. They don't usually have dental departments. It's tougher to find a job in a hospital like that. Most likely, the bulk of all of the limited license jobs are in health centers. What is a health center? Health center is basically low income clinic, really bad oral health, immigrants, free clinics, stuff like that. They are very excited to hire foreign dentists because they can pay them less, because very rarely people with student loans who have actually gone through dental schools in the United States want to work there because the salary is lower. Limited license will never grant you a permanent license. Let's just get that out of the way. You will always have to apply for your permanent license. And as far as I understand, you can practice for 5 years on a limited license. It does have a term. You can renew it. You have to take CDCA basically. You have to take an exam to renew the license. You can get it without an exam, but you do have to take it afterwards once that 5-year term expires. You can renew it for 5 years again, as much as I know, and we're gonna look on the website to confirm. But after that, you can't renew it anymore. So most likely you will be able to get into school by then because you will have a lot of experience working in the United States, and that would boost your applications significantly. I haven't known anybody who worked for so long on a license, but I do know for a fact that limited license in Massachusetts does not actually lead to a permanent license. So keep that in mind. But now it's the time to open my laptop and take a look and see what website actually says. There's my laptop. There I am. Hello. So here we are on the website for Massachusetts. And I opened the page first for dental hygienist licenses. Why? Because there was a new legislation that made it very easy for foreign trained dentists to receive a license in any state aside of Florida. This is not a video about hygienists, but it's another way for you guys to think about, because before you can only get a hygienist license in Florida. There was no other pathway for you to receive a hygienist license in any other state unless you went to school for hygiene. But now there was a dental association legislation countrywide that kind of suggested the states, it didn't require them, but it suggests for them to actually let foreign trained dentists get hygienist license anywhere else. I just read that since January 2025, Massachusetts has started to grant hygienist licenses to foreign trained dentists who have practiced in their foreign country for 5 years. So there was a limitation that you have to have 5 years of clinical experience in the foreign country. In that case, you could, without any examination or schooling, receive, well, there might be some examination, but without particular school that you have to go to, you could receive your hygienist license. But I wanted to go to the website right now to just show you that it is not reflected anywhere on the website. That is the case of when the guys didn't update the website or the information is flawed, and definitely give the state board a call if this is what you're looking for. But right now, this is apply for dental hygienists. And it doesn't, in these requirements right here, it doesn't state anywhere that you can actually get it as a foreign dentist. And you can, this is the page here, and you can look up all of the information that you want here, or the Massachusetts made it very easy. Here's all of the contact information. The lady who you email is terrible. She's only one lady there answers questions. Oh my goodness, she is horrible, but good luck with that. Better call, because you can probably get somebody else. But they made it very, very easy, and the website here is actually quite amazing. I read through all of this and I didn't once see anything about foreign trained dentists. So I do encourage you to kind of double check the information again directly through the board. Now we're gonna go to dentistry, dental license, limited license, right here, right in the beginning. So this is MassGov website. This is kind of the central website for all of the government of Massachusetts. If you just look up dental board, it will take you there very easily. So here we're on the dentistry page, and here is the limited dental license page. Super easy. Here it brings us to the limited dental license page, and here are all the options. To get all the information here, we would click to limited license, apply for limited license, and here are very easily, very transparently are the list of all of our requirements. It requires you to have a proof of graduation, and it specifically states foreign trained dentist. So this is for us, you guys. We've been mentioned officially. We have never been mentioned anywhere before, but we've been mentioned here. I think it's the victory for us as a species. So foreign trained dentist, and basically you have to bring your original diploma and your original transcript. And I mean original. If you're from Soviet countries, if you're from the former Soviet republics, you get one diploma and that's it. And they don't give you transcripts, and they want the original. So you basically have to give away your diploma and you will never get it back. They will trash it. So be very careful with that. You have to figure out a way around it. You need your transcript from your school. If you're still, let's say in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, we all have similar systems. If you're still there, go to your school and request an additional transcript. Request additional piece of paper, make it them seal it, stamp it, do everything super officially, because they will take it here and they will never give it back. So you need your original, just the grades, basically just the transcript. And it needs to be translated into English, obviously. All right, photocopies are not accepted, and they're very strict about that. They don't care. They don't care. And it was a huge fight for me. For my assistant license as well, it was a very big fight for me. So photocopies are not accepted. You can't just scan your diploma and give it to them, even if you notarize it, even if you do whatever. They want the original. Keep that in mind. Documents of certification, that's super easy. You have to get your CPR certification. It's just basically CPR. Easy. You can get them very quickly. Ethics and jurisprudence exam, that was always a hard word for me. That is not an easy exam. This is an exam that you request. You basically email them and say like, hey, can I get a copy of a jurisprudence exam? That's literally how the process goes. It's very like nonchalant. You think it's superficial? It's not. Email the email that's here. You just say, guys, can I please have a copy? They sent you a copy. It is a hard exam, you guys. It is difficult. It took me a whole day to do it. And there are no answers anywhere. You actually have to go to all those official websites and look for the information. It was a nightmare. You don't really have to study. It's open book. You do it at home. You just send them the answer sheet. You fill it out. If your friend got it too and you kind of want to do it together, they all differ. The questions are usually about the same, but they're in different, they're different sequence. And sometimes they're different. They have like a database and they sent you 30 questions, I think. It's not too bad, but it took me a while. It was difficult. The exam was not easy. Criminal background check, that is all very standard. Letters of standing. Here you need your recommendation letters. You do need them for full license as well. Not in that capacity, but they have actually a form for it for the full license, but you do need letters of recommendation here. Practice history, that's your CV, basically your resume or CV. This I'm not sure about. National Practitioner Data Bank self-inquiry. Most likely it's in case you had a license in any other state. They want to kind of see if you were in good standing there. Just follow the instructions, whatever it says here, do it. I haven't had to have done this before, but it seems totally doable. English language proficiency, that's your TOEFL. Oh, they accept the British one as well. Great. They don't usually, but I'm glad they're so welcoming. Good moral standing. Part of the application questionnaire is good moral standing questions. It gave me a little bit of trouble when I was getting my license because you do have to have a dentist pretty much just sign a paper and say that you're a good person, and you need to find said dentist. It needs to be American licensed dentist. It cannot be your friend or a colleague. It has to be a dentist or hygienist, I believe is also okay, but basically a dental professional. Back then I didn't know a lot of private practice dental professionals, so I did have to ride around, see my previous employees to sign this piece of paper for me. Basically, an American dentist have to sign and say that you are a good person. Other requirement is photo, affidavit, not sure what it is, and employment. It's really funny to me that they put it so far down to the very end, but I believe it's the most important part. You should have kind of started with that the employment is required before you can apply to this license. So don't submit them any documents until you actually have a letter from your employee that says we're going to hire you. And obviously the fees, dental limited license is $90, not too bad. And what's nice about Massachusetts, recently, I think last year, they fully switched to digital. You don't have to mess with paperwork of any kind. It's all digital, very nice. I have renewed my license through their digital portal. It's great. Love it. And there you go. That is all of the requirements that Massachusetts give you. Let's briefly talk about faculty license because it kind of goes in the same pack. If you've got a job, not in a health center, but in a college, or in a dental school, you would go through a faculty license. You can read it through here. So again, they're very conveniently located next to each other. And if you have any additional questions, the contact information is right here. Pretty much goes through the same exact thing. Confirmation of full-time faculty employment. So to get that license, you have to be full-time employee. Just also kind of keep that in mind. Yeah, exactly the same. So that's something to know about. So this is Massachusetts. I actually do enjoy their website. It's one of the easiest ones to use. And now we're going to go to Minnesota. Minnesota is a bit more confusing, as I said. It is a new website, so I'm happy about that. But still, it's not the bestest in town. Minnesota Board of Dentistry. That's the website. You can see the URL over here. Dentistry, new applicant, limited general. But let's go to home, for example, to kind of see where we find our stuff here. Not the best website again. This is just a bunch of gray text. We're new applicants, right? This is a logical place to go. We can find a dental program. We can limited general license. That sounds like us, right? Exams, sedation, application form. Let's go to limited general license and click that. A graduate of a dental college in another country must not be disqualified from examination solely because of the applicant's foreign training. I would hope so. Well, it's a weird wording here. So basically they're kind of trying to be inclusive, like we will not disqualify you because you're foreign. You can take this exam. First of all, there's an exam. We just learned that there is an exam. But okay, must not be disqualified from examination solely because of the applicant's foreign training. Okay, thank you for saying that out here. The first thing, you could have started with something else, but okay. If the board determines that the training is equivalent to or higher than the provided by dental college approved by the Commission of Dental Accreditation of the American Dental Association or a successor organization. Okay, if you have specific questions after reviewing this information, contact the board. Okay, thank you. I do. I have a lot. But contact the board, here's the email. I don't like when they give the email because again, they usually have like 2 or 3 people sitting there and the emails are not answered frequently. So I would prefer a phone number, but I'll do with the email as well. Click here for a video tutorial and applying to limited. Okay, there's a video tutorial. Okay, should we click? Let's click. Open in a new tab. Sure is. 21 minutes. Okay, well, I'm not going to watch it for 21 minutes, but, you know, I hope international educated dentist, that's for us, you guys. We should watch that. Okay, I really don't want to, though. But it seems like we're in the right place. And this wonderful little nice lady will tell you everything you need about it. So they certainly did change their website. foreigncredentials.org. Okay, guys, I strongly encourage you to go watch this video. I'm super glad I clicked on it because it looks like it's going to tell us all about it. And I am beyond stoked about it because there were not videos when I was applying for one. And I do think, well, I'm too old for this stuff. I only have an hour of my baby's naps and I've already been blabbing about for 33 minutes. So we're not going to watch that, but I do strongly encourage you to do that. But let's kind of quickly read through the requirements. Okay, so you do have to have a social security number. That's something. It makes sense. Look, if you want to be employed, for this license, you have to be employed. To be employed, you need a social security number because you do have to pay taxes. So you can't be basically, you cannot be a person who is adjusting status, who is, well, not eligible to work, or basically even if you are eligible to work but haven't yet received your social security, that will be your step 1. Go do that. Applicant contacts and provides education documents to Foreign Credential Services of America. Okay, so they basically have a third-party agency that you have to provide your certification. Let's quickly click that and take a look. Oh, I cannot. It's not a clickable link. All right. Okay, so there's a third-party company that you should contact. The company creates a report and sends it to Minnesota Board of Dentistry. The Minnesota Board of Dentistry determines whether the education credentials are equivalent to those of the United States and whether they meet the consideration of the board. Third-party educational evaluations and all other information are advisory to the board and are not intended to supersede the authority of that third-party agency. Just kind of like ECE, I guess. It basically tells you what equivalency of your diploma is. I do think it would be easy to pass if you are a dentist in a foreign country, because, you know, you are. If you're licensed there, it should be easily provable. When you're reviewing the education of a dental graduate from a non-accredited dental program, the Minnesota Board of Dentistry is evaluating the dentist's dental degree program for equivalency. The Minnesota Board requires passing grades in all subjects, defined as US grade C or higher. All right, you guys, that's also very interesting. So go take a look at your diplomas and see if you have failed any classes, because I certainly know I have an E in there. And it's not really an American grade, but I know I failed my physics. It's not failed, technically, it's the lowest possible pass, but it's not equivalent to USC. I think it's C- or even a D. But I got an E. If you're European, you know what that means. ED educational review form. What's that? Okay, so they provide a form. I hope this tells me nothing. This is a whole bunch of Credit hours, I would think ECE would be able to evaluate that, but hopefully the video that they provide would explain more. But all right, this is probably the form that explained the equivalency of courses. Let's see. Each applicant is considered on a case-by-case basis. Below are specific documents needed to initiate the credential review process. Please do not submit any materials until you can send all of these together as complete packet. Makes sense. When originals are not in English, please translate them. That's fine. Okay, so they have recommended agency which should translate your documents. Follow the requirements. Don't just have your brother translate it or something. Do what they say. The least confusion there is, they're better. To our office, please note that all the documents will be discarded after processing. So again, you need your originals. You can't just send them your diploma because they will burn it. Have copies of document notarized and certified whenever possible. All right, great. So they actually do it. Unlike Massachusetts, they do accept a copy of a document, but it does need to be notarized. So that's okay. A fee, international education dentist pre-application. Okay, so there's pre-application that we can do that. National board examination. All right, so you do need your NBD for that. We can do that too. We're smart individuals. We can do that. That's a whole separate process. So here, that would be your step 2. Step 1, get your social security. Step 2, get your NBD. Whatever sequence that works best for you. And a TOEFL. All right, I actually like to start with TOEFL because you can take it multiple times without any harm. And they have their minimum score requirements. Total score 94 is the minimum, which is actually on a higher side. There are some dental schools that only need 90 or don't even have any limitation in TOEFL. They actually do ask for 94, and I have met a lot of people who were kind of stuck at 90. Alrighty guys, so here you go, something to work on as well. Curriculum vitae, we can do that. A certificate of completion from the foreign, infection control. Infection control, you will always need a course for that. That's a certification, it's usually done online. Massachusetts has one too, by the way, but they don't state it on the website. Again, give the board a call and they will give you a link, just like these guys do. Take this course and you will be fine. They have a specific course they want you to take. An authorized and certified copy of your dental diploma or e-translated, whatever. Okay, we can do that. Original license, verification or letter of good standing showing proof of practicing. Okay, so you do need to be licensed in your foreign country because I didn't have a license in my country. And they have to see the proof that you have actually practiced before. That's something to know. That's okay. We can, I have mentioned that in the beginning of the video. They do need you to have been practicing before. So it's unlikely for a new grad to be able to receive this license. Step 3, the committee evaluates the documents above as submitted and provides the applicant with their determination. If approved, applicant would move forward with step 4. Okay. Attend candidate interview, including submitting patient records. Okay, here you go. I guess I'm glad that it didn't change because my information is correct and still stands. And I like stability, but it sucks for you. So if you're still in your country and thinking that this would be a good pathway for you, record everything. Get your little photo camera, take pictures of all the cases that you do, have a really cool Instagram, have cases that you can present to the board. That would be important. Okay, submitting patient records with the Licensure and Credentials Committee. This will be conducted virtually and scheduled only once the committee determines the education is equivalent to the United States. They won't even talk to you until they basically think that you are qualified. Only the foreign format will be accepted for submission of patient records. Patient records must not be over 5 years old. Okay, that's another limitation. So if you have lived in America for a long time and you have patient records from a very long time ago, from like 10 years ago when you were practicing, not gonna work. 5 years old, 5 years actually is not that long. I've been here for more than that. Here is the requirement for the clinical cases. Okay, so they have links for specific procedures, and I'm not quite certain if you have to submit all of them. For example, if you have never done endodontics in your practice, they have endodontic therapy requirement. Maybe the lady in the video will explain more. So again, I encourage you to watch that, but these are the forms that you have to complete about your cases and describe them. If your interview is successful, the board will grant you permission to sit for one of the board-approved clinical exams. Okay, so that's most likely a CDCA. Candidate must pass this exam within 18 months with no more than 2 fails and 1 remediation. Most likely it's CDCA. It used to be like REB exams, just basically clinical exam that some certain states would accept. And nationwide, except for New York, has switched to CDCA. It's actually a really difficult exam. It was really hard for me personally, but it's more of an endurance exam. It's a practical skills exam. Think of it as a bench test. It does have very specific requirements. Good luck, surgeons and orthodontists, if you want to pass that, but doable. So basically they allow you to sit for the licensing exam. A notarized copy of you passing score in a clinical examination will be required. That's totally fine. They do give you a certificate once you pass. Complete the Minnesota jurisprudence exam, just like in Massachusetts. I'm sure it's similar. Complete the LGL, I'm not sure what it is, license application, probably just an application. We can do that. When the application and submitted written agreement are accepted by the board, they will grant you a limited general license. Hey! And you will receive confirmation via email and also receive your legal renewal certificate in the mail. Board staff will send you several board-approved documents that will clarify your scope of practice, okay, how to write written agreement, what the responsibility is of your Minnesota supervising dentist. Again, you need a supervising dentist for this, and how to petition for an unrestricted license at the end of your 3-year term. There you go. Well, it used to be 5, I believe. But this is now a 3-year term, so you can get an unrestricted license after 3 years. That's actually quite wonderful. If you guys are going to go through it, or if you know somebody who has gone through it, please send them my way, because I have not met anybody who has done that. It does seem like there's a lot of restrictions, but I totally think it's doable. I think there will be enough people who will have these restrictions met. With the cost of education these days, I do think it is logical for people to go ahead and do that. Please comment, please let me know. Please let me know if you have done that or know somebody who have done that. Here I have quickly the New Hampshire licensing board open, which I have read online that New Hampshire started in 2024 giving a limited license exam, but you can limited license to foreign dentists. But again, you can see the website is not like the most fancy schmancy one. It most likely has not been updated. Over here, I looked up the keyword for limited license and I did not find really anything. There is not particular location when I can pick a limited license. Temporary license, again, we took a look at that, but I don't see anything about limited licenses. And we can go back to, well, let's go back to home. Find a board, let's find a board. Dental examiners, let's say. Okay, and it only goes for dentist and dental hygienist. And over here they have like license information section. It's not a very user-friendly website, but it gives you an option to apply for dentist, and it's initial license over here, renewal of the license, renewing your license, reinstatement, inactive license, other requirements for licensure. Realistically, it doesn't really talk about limited license anywhere, so I'm a bit confused. Don't see anything on the website particularly, but I did read about it. I did see that they did change it in 2024. So my thoughts are they just didn't update the website. And I think if you're looking to live in New Hampshire, it would be a good idea to give them a call. This video was made because I'm answering to a comment on my previous video. I do want to kind of have it more interactive. I did reach the stage in my life where I've been out of school for 5 years now, or like 3 years. I've been applying 6 years ago. So it's not really a subject that I can come up with topics this easily anymore, because I don't rotate in this environment anymore, but I still have a lot of knowledge that I would like to share, not just about this, but about dentistry in general, about owning a practice, working as an associate, anything like this. So if you have any questions about anything dentistry in the US or abroad, because now I'm trying to get licensed in Europe, anything like this, please let me know in the comments. I will take a look at the comments of this video and decide the topic of the next video. And this is how our system is going to work. You ask, I answer. So I'm not coming up with videos ideas by myself anymore. You can also DM me on Instagram. I'm very slow to answer because I'm very heavily pregnant and I have a toddler. I am slow these days, but you can DM me and I can answer it eventually. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this video. My Instagram and all the social media information is down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.